it. Ever heard that old saying, "Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it"? Well, today's story is a wild ride about a guy who learned that lesson the hard way. So grab your popcorn, get comfy, and let's dive in. Once upon a time, in a busy little town, lived a man who had made a career out of, well, not having a career. He was young, strong, and perfectly capable of working, but he'd decided that was far too much effort. Why sweat and toil when you could just ask for things? And so his daily routine was simple. Wander from door to door, put on his most pitiful face, and beg for a meal. He was a master of his craft, weaving tales of misfortune that could soften the hardest of hearts. A free lunch was his favorite kind of lunch, and he got one every single day. One sunny afternoon, his wandering feet brought him to a small, humble cottage at the edge of town. An old man with eyes as clear as a summer sky sat on the porch, carving a piece of wood. The beggar launched into his usual performance. "Oh, kind sir," he began, his voice trembling with practiced sorrow, "I haven't eaten in days. Could you spare a crust of bread for a poor, unfortunate soul?" The old man stopped his carving and looked up. He didn't look angry or annoyed, just thoughtful. He studied the beggar for a long moment, taking in his strong arms and healthy frame. "You are young and full of life," the old man said, his voice calm and steady. "Why do you choose this path, to live by the mercy of others when you could build a life for yourself? I must warn you, if you continue to live like a stray, depending on scraps and pity, you might just become one. You could turn into a dog." The beggar, far from being warned, burst out laughing. The idea was absurd. "A dog," he chuckled. "Well, that sounds even easier. Dogs get fed all the time without doing a lick of work. If I could be a dog and still get free meals, sign me up." He scoffed, thinking the old man was just a crazy eccentric. The old man simply sighed, a deep, sorrowful sound. He said nothing more, picked up his carving, and went back to work. The beggar, feeling smug, turned and walked away, already thinking about his next target, his next free meal. He hadn't taken more than 20 steps from the cottage when a bizarre sensation washed over him. It started in his hands and feet, a strange, tingling, shrinking feeling. He stumbled, catching his balance, but his limbs felt all wrong. He looked down and gasped. His hands were becoming padded paws, his nails thickening into claws. Coarse brown fur sprouted all over his skin, covering his entire body in a matter of seconds. His back hunched, his face elongated into a snout, and his throat, which once spun elaborate lies, could now only produce a series of frantic, desperate barks. He had actually turned into a dog. Panic surged through him. He tried to scream, to call for help, to explain the impossible thing that had just happened, but all that came out was woof, bark, yap. He ran in circles, his new tail tucked between his legs, his mind a chaotic storm of fear and disbelief. This wasn't the easy life he'd imagined. This was a nightmare. He saw a group of people walking down the road and ran towards them, trying to use his eyes, his posture, to beg for help. But they didn't see a man in distress. They saw a stray dog, possibly mad, running at them aggressively. "Get away from us, you mutt," one of them yelled, picking up a stone. Another man grabbed a thick branch from the side of the road. Fear, cold and sharp, replaced his confusion. He yelped and scrambled away as they chased him, shouting and throwing things. This was his new reality. When he approached homes, hoping for the kindness he once took for granted, doors were slammed in his face. Housewives shooed him away with brooms. Children, who he thought might be kind, either ran from him or chased him for sport. The world, which had once been his personal buffet, was now a landscape of terror and rejection. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Hunger was a constant, gnawing pain in his belly. He learned to survive on discarded scraps he found in the garbage, always competing with other strays. He shivered through cold, rainy nights, huddled under bushes, his fur matted and damp. He felt the sting of loneliness, a feeling he'd never truly known when he was human. He longed for a kind word, a gentle touch, the simple dignity of being seen as a person. He finally understood. The old man hadn't been crazy. He had been wise. He had warned him that a life without dignity, without effort, was no life at all. He had wished to be a dog so he wouldn't have to work. Now, as a dog, he worked harder than ever just to stay alive. Every waking moment was a struggle for survival. Through the biting cold of winter and the sweltering heat of summer, he endured. Years passed. The lazy, greedy man he once was slowly faded away, replaced by a creature that understood hardship, humility, and regret. The arrogance in his heart was washed away by suffering, and a quiet sense of remorse grew in its place. He no longer thought about what he could get, but about the life he had thrown away. He was truly, deeply sorry. One day, as he was limping by the edge of town, tired and old, he saw a familiar figure. It was the wise old man sitting on the same porch, looking exactly as he had all those years ago. The dog, his heart pounding, cautiously approached. He didn't run or bark. He simply walked to the old man's feet, lay his head on the worn wooden planks, and looked up with eyes full of sorrow and repentance. The old man stopped his work and looked down. He reached out a gentle hand and placed it on the dog's head, stroking his matted fur. "Ah," he said softly, a kind smile gracing his lips. "It seems you have finally learned your lesson. You understand now, don't you? The value of honest work, the dignity of standing on your own 2 feet." As the man spoke, a warm light enveloped the dog. The tingling sensation returned, but this time it was comforting. His fur receded, his limbs stretched and reformed, his snout shortened. In a flash, he was human again, kneeling on the ground where the dog had been, tears streaming down his face. He looked at his hands, his human hands, and sobbed with relief and gratitude. From that day forward, he was a changed man. He never begged again. He found work simple at first, then learning a trade. He worked harder than anyone because he knew the alternative. He remembered the cold, the hunger, and the fear. He became known not as a beggar, but as a kind, hard-working man who was always ready to help others, especially those who were struggling. He had been given a second chance, and he spent the rest of his life making it count. What a powerful story, right? It's a classic fable about appreciating what you have and the dignity that comes from honest effort. It makes you think about what we value and the paths we choose in life. Thanks so much for hanging out and listening. If you enjoyed this story, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more tales that make you think. Drop a comment below and let me know what you thought about the beggar's transformation. See you in the next video.